Very good, Jessica. Yes, let go of your surroundings. Dr. Hendrix's voice was soothing, lulling me into deep breaths. I didn't think it would work, but my eyelids became heavy, my chest rising and falling in perfect rhythm. How old are you, Jessica? The doctor asked. 14, I said. Good. What is your name? I heard scribbling on a notepad as he jotted my answers down with a pencil. Jessica Bailey Carver. Very good. More scratching. Where did you go on July 13th? My eye twitched. To Cloud Lake's summer kickoff, I told him, fully aware he wanted a different answer. He slowed the pace of his words. When you left, you walked home, is that correct? Yes, no, I ran. I didn't tell him why, but I could picture my bleeding legs, the red welts from the tree branches. Why were you running? I was trying to get home, but... What is it, Jessica? What happened when you got out of the trees? Dr. Hendrix asked, unable to hide the impatience from his voice. I was in Mr. Martin's yard. It was bright, so bright. I lifted a hand and placed it over my eyes, recalling with such clarity how white-hot it had burned. Was Mr. Martin there? He asked. I saw him that night, but not there, I said truthfully. Dad had been grilling me on it for the last week, but I couldn't tell him what he wanted to hear. Where were you taken? Dr. Hendrix asked, and I sensed him shifting in his seat. My eye twitched again. I saw images in my mind, a bed, tubes, shadows, but never a face. I told him this, and he kept probing with deeper questions, ones I was unable to give firm answers to. Dad was in the room, and he made a whimpering sound in his throat as I deflected. I didn't know where I was in my memories. Everything was a jumbled mess. Could it have been inside a room? Dirt floor? A wooden staircase? He asked. I scanned through the memories and shook my head. I don't think so. Could it have been? He asked, emphasizing the first word. I guess it could have been, I finally relented. I didn't want to be here any longer. I wanted to push the painful images from my mind and go home. Thank you. He snapped his fingers, though I didn't know if I was supposed to do anything. My eyes slowly opened, and I glanced over at my dad, who exhibited a sad smile, a chin-up sport kind of gaze. Are we done? I asked. Dr. Hendrix nodded. I need to speak with your father. Do you mind waiting out there with your sister? I shook my head and walked away on shaky legs. Zoe sat in the cramped waiting room, flipping through a magazine with some overdressed model on the cover. You okay? She asked, peering over at me from behind the magazine. I raised a finger to my lips and crept to the door, which I'd left open a crack. It isn't uncommon for someone who's been through this kind of traumatic event, Brian. She's scared. She's seeing things in clips, almost like random photos from her internal camera. They don't make sense to her, but they might in time. Dr. Hendrix's voice was clear as he spoke to my dad. What about the lights? She's making it sound as if... My dad started. It could be a flashlight. Maybe there were floodlights inside the room. There are too many factors, the doctor said. What's the next step? Dad asked him. I suggest she be medicated for something this intense. She needs to be calmed down to handle the anxiety and stress of what happened to her, Dr. Hendrix advised. For how long? As long as she needs it, he answered. Dad let out a sigh, and I could picture his cheeks deflating like a balloon on the other side of the wall. Do I make another appointment with you? No, Brian. I don't often deal with this level of trauma, but I can recommend a few professionals who'll really be able to make inroads with your daughter, the doctor said. Thank you. Hold her tight. It's not often you hear about the victim making it home in a case like this. I shivered at his words. I will. Thanks for the help, Doc, Dad said, and I ran across the room sitting beside Zoe. She passed me a magazine, and I opened it, pretending to read an article. Ready to go? Dad asked us. I nodded, unable to forget the pictures that had flashed over my mind in Dr. Hendrix's office. Part of me wished I knew what had really happened to me. The other part wanted to go home and forget any of it ever occurred. Very good, Jessica. Yes, let go of your surroundings. Dr. Hendricks's voice was soothing, lulling me.